Welcome to Middles Open. I'm Michael Morris. To my left, Doug Risher. Doug, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. We had to have a pinch hitter for our all-time designated hitter. Lou Willard is not here, so we brought in the next best thing. Michael Chaney, a Grove City legend herself in the athletic field, and the owner of No Drip Painting. How are you, buddy?
That was a really good introduction.
I didn't even write that down. That literally came off the top of my head.
Right off the top of your off your tongue, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
Off
really
the top
wanted
of
to
your
say
tongue, that
off
makes
the
sense.
top, off the tippy top. I really miss Lou already.
Save us, Lou. All right.
The reason I have Michael in here is because Michael is a former athlete who played in college and then hurt herself, but not in college. So I thought she could address injuries more than anybody else. But our topic is, who's to blame for Kevin Durant getting hurt? Is it the Warriors training staff, or is it the media who kept saying, oh, it's just a calf issue, why can't he play, right? So we're going to start with this. Golden State should lose. They got to win. This is not going to be like the Cavs series where they came back from 3-1 and win. This is over for the Warriors. I'm doing that because Lou's not here, and he's already told everybody they're not going to win. But the media was on Kevin Durant to play so badly. And they kept saying, it's been 33 days. Why can't this guy get out there if it's a calf injury? And they're questioning his toughness. And then they're saying, well, he's not going to play because he's a free agent, so why does he care? I'm going to go to Michael first. You've been hurt. And people have probably said, oh, it's fine, get out there on the field. Did you ever question it? Did you feel like they were questioning how tough you were or how much you wanted to be on the team at that point?
No, but this is why I hate the media. I mean, come on, let the guy...
You're on a radio show right now.
We
This
are
is
the media.
Yeah, exactly. But, oh my gosh, like, is it really... Why does it have to be such a big deal? Like, let him play as an athlete. Why are we pressuring people? Why are we doing all this? I don't get it.
Because we need things to talk about on radio shows and TV shows. If it wasn't for that, there'd be no ESPN. They'd be doing that beanbag toss and the drone races on the weekends. We have to have shows where we debate how tough somebody is now.
Right.
Well, what about this? Do you think it's also because it's the NBA playoffs, the finals? I mean, if it
absolutely.
was just a regular season game, I don't think it would have been as much pressure being pushed from the media. Obviously, they want the highest ratings. And if you
Right.
put Durant out there, more people are paying attention. They want to see what happens.
But I think when you're watching the games, they're not talking about it. They're just saying, well, he can't play because of this, and they're not covering it. But the media is covering it like it's the biggest thing
Yeah.
going. This is not Willis Reed. He's not going to come out limping around. And, you know, if you look at that game, Willis Reed only scored 4 points in the entire game. He wasn't the difference for the Knicks winning that series.
Right.
But it was a heroic moment. I think we all want that guy who's limping out there.
Well, it's
guy
just
or
like-
girl, excuse me, Michael, guy
Yeah,
or girl.
excuse you.
Just like with the Bruins, with his broken jaw.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Okay, but
you
that's...
give him credit for going out there and playing with an injury like that. But he only missed, one period of play?
He missed the third period. He breaks his jaw on a slap shot and misses one period and plays the rest of the time. But I think we're looking at it and saying we're not giving hockey players enough credit for how tough it is to play that sport. We're just looking at like there's a few. If you're a goal scorer or a goalie, you're getting attention, but you're getting banged up on every single play.
Yeah.
We're looking at Durant and saying, oh, that guy's making $31 million. He should be out there. They're going to lose because he's not out there. And now he's going to miss 12 months with this injury.
And still get paid.
Well, let's talk about that. He's going to make $31 million because he was a free agent that could opt into a one-year deal. So he's going to make $31 million by taking the opt-in and not even play, which hurts Golden State because they've got free agents they've got to sign.
Right.
If you take that $31 million, can I pay Klay Thompson? Can I pay Draymond Green? So it's gonna take a toll somewhere.
Right.
But this is why these super teams, when they get together, they don't last very long.
No, they eat up all the money, so.
And I look at the reason I think this is a big deal is the Kyrie Irving thing. Kyrie Irving opts out of his contract with Boston where he's going to make $21.7 million. And he's just not happy. He just wants to go somewhere else. He wasn't happy in Cleveland. He wasn't happy playing with LeBron. Not happy in Boston. If you paid me $21 million, I'd be happy for a long, long time, at least a week.
I'd be happy playing in Idaho.
Right. But that's why I think we're looking at this, the media is looking at it more as what's going to happen in the future. Because I think it's like kids when, your favorite player would get traded to the Mets or something. You want to see that new jersey. We don't really care what these guys are doing if they're not on our team.
Right.
But we've turned the hero worship into these guys are villains if they don't play for us.
Yeah. But do you think someone like Kevin Durant as established he is and as much experience as he has, do you think the media really could pressure him into playing? I mean, don't you think once you become someone like him, you have the ability to tune
Say
that
no.
out?
I think in
not,
my career,
not
it's-
even.
If you're LeBron, yes, but Kevin Durant had 4 Twitter accounts that were not his name, so he could see what people were saying.
Right.
This guy is the ultimate dog whistle guy. He hears what someone's saying and he's like, I've got to respond. You don't, bro. You could sit it out because you toughed it out for no reason.
To be honest, the worst thing athletes can do is look at their Twitter feed and see what
Yeah.
people are saying, because it can sway literally your whole attitude towards something, which I think is definitely what happens to him. Like you said, he's got 4 burner accounts that he can just see what everybody's talking about him, and it obviously sways what he does.
That's got to be exhausting.
But think about the media, how it is right now. Nobody cares until you've done something horrible, right? So Doug and I all week long have been talking about, will Bieber fight Tom Cruise? That doesn't even mean anything.
No.
But we're now talking about height and weight and all that, and it's a dumb thing.
But I'd pay big money
Oh,
to have
absolutely
seen that.
I would. But
Fortunately, it's not happening.
Who do you
media-
think would win?
Oh my God, Tom Cruise.
I would
Have
say
you-
Tom Cruise. I mean, he's been in all these movies that he's had training and stuff, so I think even if he's not really skilled at it, he can
Yeah.
still pull it out. And Bieber's like, what, 40 pounds?
Listen, Tom Cruise has not stopped running since Mission Impossible 1. That guy's in great cardio shape.
He's running currently.
What's
Yeah.
the age difference?
He's
between them?
56 and Bieber is 25.
Okay.
I'd pay $150 to watch that fight, though.
I think they would fight for less than that. I'm just saying. But that's my point about the media is we're drumming up every horrible thing we can. It's no longer about the games we're watching. It's about we're all hate watching something.
It's true.
When Bryce Harper signs that big deal in Philadelphia, we're not excited about it. We can't wait to crap all over that and say he's hitting 256. Is he worth 300 million? I wouldn't even want that pressure. That's just me. You get the money, you get the pressure
Well,
goes with
it's
it.
just like, I mean, I don't watch NASCAR, but if I were to watch NASCAR, it'd be to see the crashes.
Right.
I want to see something happen or somebody fail at something that they're promising they can do. I think that's the state of sports these days. We have these, like you said, we have these people we elevate to this certain level, and then we want to see if they can actually hang there.
I feel like Durant became like Kanye West, where it's we cannot wait to tear that guy down. So when you're first beating everybody to the spot, and it's like you're gonna win a title, and I will say that it's a snake move to leave a team. You leave your team because you couldn't get him over the top to go to a team that was 73-9, and you win a ring. You can't really celebrate if you go to the best
Right.
team around and you're one of the best players.
Right.
You can't go.
We
but I
made this
helped."
happen, right?
Yeah.
You go to the worst team and make it happen, then
But
you can brag all you
That's
want.
why I think all these guys are cowards. They're so sensitive because they don't. If you want to be a real beast, go to Sacramento and try to win 41 games in Sacramento. If you're really that good, don't keep playing with your buddies, because that's where you're getting all this heat from. If you would have the courage to go to a bad team and take big money and you want to elevate them, that's cool with me. But Durant getting hurt, it just makes it look like another thing. Like you couldn't win even when he was there. He sacrifices his body. You're still not going to win the title this year. The part that I had a problem with is the Warriors GM Bob Myers was very emotional. He was crying in the post game because he cares about his players. And now he says this thing where he says, if you want to blame anybody, blame me. First of all, it's a freak occurrence that somebody tears their Achilles. But it's not like he said, you've got to get out there, kid. We need you.
We need you to win.
You got over $200 million that's still on that floor without Kevin Durant. I'm pretty sure they could win without you. But
I thought his speech was a little touching. You
I'm
guys
not-
didn't tear up just a little bit?
well, Doug cries a lot, but
I'm
I don't know if
crying
you saw his
currently.
speech. I'm not against what he said. I'm saying don't open it up to where people would say, oh, then what happened?
Right.
When he said the doctors looked at it, they gave us clearance, everybody gave us clearance, I understand that he's upset about that. But be upset about it
Yeah.
and end it there. Don't give me all the reasons why he was on that floor. He got hurt, we're sad about it, and move on. He just opened it up when you can't say, well, we took him to 4 different doctors, and they all said, it's fine. Because now when you're emotional, it looks like, oh, you got him.
Mike, you're a tough cookie.
Yeah.
Listen, I tore my Achilles on the way in here. I'm still doing a show. I don't care.
Now, so I was looking at this, right? So I was thinking, well, $31 million is a lot of money if he, sits out for that year. And I was like, well, what can you buy with a $30 million? So I did a little research.
Barely buy anything, Doug.
So apparently, million acres on the moon for $30 million at lunarland.com. That's a thing. $1 million.
Is that like when you buy a star and you can name it after somebody?
I guess so. I don't
many
know how.
acres?
A million acres
Why
of
are
moon.
you asking like you're gonna do it
Well,
today?
you never know.
That was an odd thing.
If this show hits it big,
Yeah, I mean,
might have
Michael,
some
have you heard
extra
this
money
show?
laying
This show's
around.
never gonna hit it big.
We are the only ones listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, does it include the?
No,
airfare, flight to
just
get
the
to
land, just the land. Or you
Okay.
could buy Taylor Swift's apartment in Manhattan for $30 million.
I would do that.
She bought it from
She's not gonna
Peter
be in it,
Jackson.
Mike.
Yeah, but all kinds of
She
John
doesn't
Mayer
cover it,
residue
right?
will be, and I'll
Yeah.
be there for that. When I hang out.
or Mike Morris. You can buy him for $30 million. So
For $30 million,
Just,
I'll play for the Warriors
Mm.
tonight.
and you'll actually play.
Yeah, not well, but I'll go out there and I'll give them my best.
So it kind of puts a little perspective of what $30 million in real day. Not really
Yeah,
didn't really put a lot of.
I'm more
perspective
questioning why
into that.
Michael wants to go buy land on the moon, but I want to ask this question. So Kawhi Leonard is everybody. He's a second coming of Michael Jordan now. Everybody loves him, but he only played 16 games for the Spurs the year before and said he had a quad injury and he just wasn't ready. This is the ultimate redemption story because we're forgetting how much people were hating on him before he went to Toronto, and they looked at as a prison sentence that he went to Toronto.
Right.
Now all of a sudden, this is the best player on the planet.
Yep. And he's gonna leave.
I saw a report where he was going to buy some home in Canada.
Really.
I just can't. The story of the finals to me is there are 4 players, the starting lineup, they've all lost their father to gun violence when they were young.
Okay.
Or one was a heart attack, I think. I think that's brought those guys together, which is a really odd thing because it seems like they're playing as a team more than anything. They're not a band of superstars that are kind of built around one guy.
You're talking about Toronto.
Toronto.
Right. And there's no crime in Toronto, so it's safe.
No, I mean,
Nobody's
it's
losing a
extremely
father
clean.
there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking at the news and there's bombings or homeless
The biggest
people.
thug is Drake in Toronto.
Well, he is a thug.
Yeah.
Michael, what's your opinion? You weren't
On
here.
Drake, yes.
Your opinion on Drake? Are you okay with him just grabbing and groping? He's Joe Bidening
No.
everyone on the sidelines.
Smelling their
He's
hair.
an idiot. Do you really think Leonard should be compared to Michael Jordan? That's the bigger question.
I don't think so.
I don't
hate
think
when
so.
people try and compare players to Jordan.
Well, I mean, I
no,
think
it shouldn't.
there's potential one day of a player living up to the greatness of Jordan, but I don't.
But
think
how? That's
What do
my
you mean,
question. Is
how?
when you're looking, I don't care.
I
how
mean,
many
we
titles
were comparing LeBron to him for a while. I mean,
You were.
Well, I know.
was not.
I mean, yes,
I
you
was
were.
comparing. I would look at LeBron more. I would look at him versus Kobe,
Okay.
and Kobe's still blowing him away.
Yeah.
When you look at what they've done, and again, what is he 3-5 in the finals?
Yeah.
And that Laker team, I know he got hurt this year, but he thought everybody wanted to come play with him. And at the end of the day, it's like the coolest guy in school graduated, and he's still cruising that parking lot like, hey, remember me, guys? And like,
Pontiac Firebird.
yeah, we don't care.
Blasted
All right,
some-
all right, all right. That's the way I'm looking at LeBron these days is people don't want to get him a ring anymore. They don't want to jump on that bandwagon and win for him. Michael Jordan, he didn't care. He wanted Jordan, Magic, Bird. They all wanted to beat the best guys and the best teams. That's not how it is anymore.
No, like we've talked about this before. Back in the 80s and 90s, it was all about dominating the the better teams out there, not just making this super team and just running the gauntlet with it. So I mean, I miss the old days of basketball back in the 80s and 90s. But so you don't think there's ever a chance of someone taking over Michael Jordan's superior NBA legacy?
I think when you're looking at the game, when we look at Magic and
Just
Bird,
because of the way it's changed now?
I think it's the way that we think about it. The way it was branded is Nike did such a great job of elevating his status. He was the first kind of rock star athlete.
Right.
If you look at it right underneath that was Bo Jackson, but that didn't last very long. We looked at those guys like they were gods and like they never did anything wrong. Now with social media, and that's my whole point about this, is we tear apart everybody's flaws, but we build them up. So when Kawhi Leonard gets to a point where he's 29, 30 years old, it's going to be time to build or to tear those bricks down, and you're going to resent the fact you know too much about these guys. If you knew that Mickey Mantle was an all-time winning drunk, you would have looked at him differently. Instead, kids wanted to be Mickey Mantle. When you read about him later, you're like, oh my God.
Or like Andre the Giant could drink 130 beers. Actually,
I don't know why that's not the most impressive thing that we
That
talked
actually
about
would
on the
make me
show.
probably like him even more. But you're right about the social media. We know so much about every single person on the planet. I mean, I know way more about you than I should know just because of Facebook. And,
You're welcome.
And so
And the little pics I put in your DMs.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
They are lovely.
But we look at these guys like Kevin Durant is getting picked on, but if we looked at Michael Jordan, we don't know his faults until now, and they're very well hidden. So in the 80s, he wasn't married to the person he eventually got married to. She used to date Reggie Theus, which is why when they were on this big run, the Bulls wanted to trade for Reggie Theus. He was scoring 27 points a game in Orlando. Michael Jordan wouldn't let that happen, and we just thought we didn't know.
Right.
We didn't know.
Well, there was no way to know that back then, right?
So Juanita Jordan is the reason that Reggie Theus doesn't have a ring, but he had a child out of wedlock with her, and then eventually married her. The press made sure that we didn't know about that. Today, if I just get on Twitter, I can find out anything about any athlete I want, whether I want to hear it or not, and it always ends up disappointing you. So it tears that down.
So your idea is that social media really shapes the way that we view sports now.
Yeah, because if you like something, if you like,
it's not just sports though. I think it's literally anything that we have interest in these days.
Right, but it's crept into our entertainment.
Right.
So we can't watch a movie, we can't watch a game. You end up hating somebody because of something that's been on social media, and it makes the Durant thing worse because I believe he's like us. I think he's looking at what people are saying and he's reacting because he wants to defend himself.
It's hurtful. Yeah, I mean, we've all had things said about us before, and you know how it stings, but I mean, he's got to, that's why he shouldn't be monitoring it as much as he does, because when you have that many things being thrown at you all the time, eventually it starts to sink in and affect your mind and how you think. So, a year off, you think he's going to just sit there for a year?
He can't do anything else
at all.
He's not going to sit at home without a paycheck.
Right.
So, but when I'm looking at the Portland Trail Blazers when they were playing the Warriors, Skip Bayless was calling out the Blazers. The story was the Blazers had a shot. It looked like they were going to be able to give them a good series. And Skip Bayless is talking about on TV and then tweeting all day about C.J. McCollum to where McCollum is now engaged with him on an off day talking about, you don't know what you're talking about. That's why I'm saying the media is literally attacking these people because that feed looks like, oh, Skip Bayless must know what he's talking about. Our media outlets are attacking athletes. And
it's like the media is the bully.
Right.
The bully. So, like, perfect example, like elementary school, back 1,000 years ago when I was a kid. When I left school, the bully stayed there. I went home, forgot about it until the next day. These athletes can't because it follows them no matter where they go, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, whatever. So, I mean, and people are brutal online.
Yeah, but don't you think some of that responsibility needs to fall on the athlete? They don't have to engage in all that.
True.
I mean, they just perpetuate everything that's already
But
going
we're all
on.
saying that we're all over the age of 35. These guys are still, we're looking at it like they're our age.
20-year-olds.
If I was to say to my dad, did you know what somebody said on Twitter to you? He'd be like, how do I get a Twitter account? These guys have grown up in an era where that is the way they base their lifestyle. So they're dressing to come to an arena so people will share a picture of it. It's not about the game anymore. It's about everything but the game.
That's sad. See, I'm with you, Doug. That's why 80s and 90s NBA.
Why can't you be with me? I literally say every week, this is what I think. And Doug goes, I think what Mike thinks. And you're like, yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Listen, this is what I was going to say, is that 80s and 90s NBA basketball was more exciting. And maybe it's because none of this existed, or maybe it's because Jordan was there, and Bird and all the other guys. But yeah, to me it's not as exciting anymore. Maybe it's because we know too much of the backstory.
Well, and like what we said, it was more physical back then too.
Right.
Now it's not. It's all just about scoring, and back then it was a power struggle the whole time.
I just think that when I'm looking at this finals, it will be remembered not that Toronto won a title, because they will, but it'll be remembered that Kevin Durant got hurt and people didn't look out for him. Because now even his mom is speaking up that it's the team's fault, he shouldn't have been out there. At the end of the day, who is it on? It's on the athlete who you put yourself out there, but you didn't have to.
Well, and also it just happens when you play sports. You get hurt.
Injuries do happen.
Right.
Like I got injured just doing this show.
Well, listen,
my ego.
There's a lot. You should have been here before the mics went on. I was getting attacked.
I walked in. I was like,
I'm trying to do another show, and I'm getting attacked by everybody in the room. Michael, your opinion then is, if you're looking at this, if you're Durant, then they just say it's a calf strain, but that's it. Are you rushing back to get there? You've got money. You don't have to worry about it. but your team's down 3-1. Are you jumping on board?
I think so. I think
So you're going to get hurt. You just said you would.
The real athletes, they want to be there for their team, and I don't think it's about money for them. I mean, at some point it probably is, right? Obviously they want to get to the league and make those big bucks, but the true athletes, the ones that it's in their heart, it's what they do, it's who they've identified with for the last 20, 30 years of their life. They want to play, don't you think?
I would agree too. I mean, I know the money speaks a lot, but if you're a true athlete at that caliber, you've got to want to help your team overcome the what's happening. Whether they're down or what. I think he rushed it, and I think it does fall on him though, because potentially it could become worse. But I don't think adding him into that game was going to make much difference.
No.
Like you said, there's another bazillion dollars out on the court already. Why risk another injury? I mean, it is what it is now, though.
I do give him credit for trying, but I also look back to, and again, I always say this, the 80s, 90s era. There was a series where Robert Parrish had rolled his ankle so badly that, I mean, this thing was so heavily taped it looked like George Brett's bat in the 1982 series. Kevin McHale breaks his foot and has a pin inserted. Kevin McHale's career was almost over because he ended up getting drop foot because he basically played on a broken foot 40 minutes a game. He had to retire earlier than he would have had to because he lost his athleticism and then his hips went and all that. But he was there for his team and his teammates. So I'll give you credit for that. The problem I have is...
I feel like that's how it always was back then.
Right. It's not like that now. So when I look at Kawhi Leonard, and what he's done in the playoffs has been great. But he did, in my opinion, quit on San Antonio. I mean, he didn't even talk to the press. He wasn't even coming to the games. He wouldn't even talk to anybody and wouldn't get reevaluated. Maybe he knew something we didn't, but he can't be compared to a Michael Jordan. Listen to me. We're attacking this guy just like Skip Bayless. This show is the new, what is that horrible show with him and Shannon Sharp? When Lou is here, Lou can be Shannon Sharp.
You're right.
You need somebody to step in on the show that is not a Michael Jordan fan, I think. You need
but who's not a Michael Jordan fan?
You need
Where are you going to find that?
Generation.
Someone in Russia?
I don't know who.
The younger.
Yeah.
Trust me, the younger kids.
They don't like Michael Jordan.
Well, they didn't see it. They didn't see him.
Well, they're
play.
idiots.
It's a different.
They didn't see Space Jam.
It's a different feeling for them. It's a different feeling now.
Why are you saying Space Jam? Like, we all know what Space Jam is. That's what
Rachel. That's so she doesn't know over there.
She doesn't know who Michael Jordan is.
She's looking him up right now.
She's like, Google, who's Michael Jordan?
Type in number 23. Air Jordans. All right.
So again, my consensus is he shouldn't have played at all, and I think he got on the court because he was pressured to get in there by social media.
I now think he should play on crutches.
Listen, I think it should be like the MTV
that would
Rock
be amazing.
Jock. He could stand on the 25-point line, and he could just shoot from there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Am I the only one that remembers?
I miss the Rock and Jock, and that was good days, man.
Yeah.
I think we just decided the 80s and the 90s were the best time.
Those were the best.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to be a kid watching this era of basketball. Hockey hasn't changed, and I think we should say, as we're running out of time, that the Blues did win.
Right.
And I know everybody in Columbus is happy that the Bruins did
lost,
not.
Right? Except for me, obviously.
But except for you, because you're a homer for everything Boston. But I would like to say the toughest guy I've ever seen is that Zdeno Chara to take a puck to the face from 2 feet away.
You know that,
and I'm gonna
be so painful.
I watched it and I thought, he's dead. And to finish that series, I'll give him all the credit in the world. Those are the toughest guys on the planet.
Think about it. Any kind of hit at all, it must literally jar his whole body, like the pain. Like, so to be able to battle through that, that's impressive, man. Like, you don't see people fight through the pain like that very often.
Well, and then you get to a Game 7, and that's the most disappointing Game 7 I've ever seen because Boston, at one point, they had 16 shots to St. Louis's 4, and the score was 2-0.
Right.
St. Louis.
Well, they came out strong, and then St. Louis, slipped in a score, and then 7 seconds left in the period, they scored another, and I was like, ooh, this is not going well.
That's going to stink up your whole life to lose Game 7 at home.
At Boston, yeah. So, did you see some of the fans though when they were presenting the Stanley Cup to them?
The ones that were giving the bird.
The Bruins fans were so salty, man. It's like they won fair and square. It's people can. And the fans are a riot because they're not the athletes. They're not the ones playing, but they're the saltiest over the whole thing. And I see the two teams congratulating each other, or walking away, and You know, I know it's painful to lose something like that, but the fans are the ones that act like it's affected their lives more than anything else.
But I will say this is the coolest thing to ever see in sports is the end of a playoff series when they all so they've been at it, they've been fighting each other, they've been hitting each other with sticks, and they all shake hands, and there's a camaraderie there.
We did this.
But I have watched
went either way.
Probably for 20 straight years the end of the Stanley Cup to see them all get a chance with that trophy, and they all get to hold it and what it means to them. I still don't know why NBC leaves the mic open so you can hear every F-bomb, and then they have to apologize. You know what this is. There's no other sport where that trophy is, you don't touch it until you win it. So if it's on display, these guys don't want to be anywhere around it because they feel like it's
taboo.
bad mojo.
It's taboo right there, right?
But when you see that guy get his chance to get his hands on that thing that he's always wanted his whole life, that's the coolest moment in sports. That's better than the World Series. That's better than NBA basketball. That trophy in their hands and see that adulation, you should make it a point to watch that closeout game because you'll never see anything that cool in your life.
That emotion coming from them.
Yeah.
No,
that's
very
cool. Because I honestly don't know a whole lot about hockey, but I watched all the games when the Blue Jackets were in it, and you're right, hockey players are the toughest.
They're tough,
but they're also the coolest, and it's cool for that little girl that followed the Blues the whole way through. Those are the kind of stories that make sports.
I feel like they're maybe the most down-to-earth pro athletes out there. You know, they're just regular dudes that love the sport, and you can see them on the street just walking down the road, and it's not like they're not making NBA money, obviously, but it's I actually enjoyed the series. It obviously ended not the way I wanted, but it's all right.
Well, that's why next year is going to be all hockey all the time. We're not even going to talk about the finals. That's it for this week. Michael, thank you for sitting in for Lou. I'm sure we'll have you back because we have a lot more painting questions to get to. And Douglas, always good to see you.
See you next week.
That's going to be it for Middles Open. We'll see you next weekend. My favorite